In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Hello and regards. This is Muhammad Suleiman Ahmadzai with a new session for you, dear friends. We have the tab file. In the tab file, these topics are pretty much repeated. For example, let's say we have a file. We want to save the file. The first thing we do is we say save. Save this for us. For example, it asks us at which address to save it. The second time, using save updates the file. In this example too, I tell it the same. From these 4 pages I have, I just want to save this 1 paragraph, that's it. Delete the rest. But up to this point, it hasn't been saved yet. Continuing on, that file still hasn't been saved. What do we tell it? When we save it, after that it just updates the file. So, out of those 4 pages from before, now it just found 1 page with a new name. Because we told it to save again the second time. Every time I make a change, for example, here I added a word. Now, if we don't save this, it means that this file is still the same as before. It hasn't become part of our file, because we hadn't told it to save. So, what does it do the next times we save? It just updates the file. It applies the changes you made, whether you added or removed something, to the original file. Basically, it updates the file like that. But if we want to tell it to save this file as a completely separate file, we just save it somewhere else by choosing Save As. In Save As, it asks you, when you save a file, in which format do you want to save it? You can save it in WordPad's own format, rich text format, so that when you open it, it opens in WordPad. Or you can save it as an XML file or as other documents. Plain text format, which is also called Notepad program, so it opens in Notepad. Or we could even specify that it should be in the formats of other programs, for example. But generally, we make our selection here. For example, we can tell WordPad itself to save it exclusively as rich text format, so that it can be opened again in WordPad. What should it be named? We had already seen in Notepad that if you choose the same location, you have to change its name so that its location becomes different. For example, the previous file was named dan.cvc. You want to have a copy of it. If it's in a different location, you don't need to change the name, and we can save it again with the same name. Whereas if we wanted it to be in the same location, for example, we could have 2 copies with a gap on the desktop, but then it wouldn't work. It would give a warning that a file with this name already exists. So we say, let it not be 33, let it be 34. Again, in the same location, we're forced to change the file name. We have 2 files on our desktop. 33 and 34 are copies of each other. But in my documents, when we saved the file in documents, it came with the name 33. Here, we didn't need to change the name because the location was different. After saving, we have this here. Try to see, we have new and open here. With new, it just opens a new page for you, and with open, it opens that previous file. Wherever you have a file, if you click open, it will open it. Here, it also shows your most recently saved file, so you don't need to go into open or specify it, for example. In the general list, for example, you say this file was saved today, 33, 2 33s, then suddenly 34. These are the previous files. By clicking directly on those files above, what does it do for us? It reopens them. I had also told you the shortcuts for these 4 commands. Ctrl+S, Ctrl+O, and Ctrl+N. These are the shortcuts for these 3, and Alt+F+A is also a shortcut for this. We've seen its shortcut in some Notepad programs, which shows up here. But here, it doesn't show up. Again, if you move the cursor here, the screen tip will pop up. For example, it says that the shortcut for new is Ctrl+N, and its function is also mentioned. Create a new document. That means making a new page. So from here, when we see the cursor, for example, its name is as open, and its shortcut is Ctrl+O. Open an existing document, meaning to open a real file. Again, it shows this area just like it does on the other side. It doesn't have a built-in shortcut, that is. It only shows its function, which is to save the document with a new name or format, but it doesn't display its shortcut. Again, that's why I said, which shortcuts can you work with? Non-built-in, Alt+Fe. Again, this action is done by Save As. That is, those that are non-built-in shortcuts. They don't have built-in shortcuts. Like Ctrl+O, for example, that one has a shortcut. But for the ones that don't, you can still use these shortcuts. Press Alt+F. It writes itself out. P is the shortcut. It's like this, or P is the shortcut for print. Or for example, G is the shortcut for page and tab. That means, after the shortcut isn't given, even when you bring the cursor to the top of the screen tip, you see it doesn't show a shortcut. Still, we can use this. So, at that time, page and tab are still the same. We press Alt+F+G. Page and tab open up. Well, after these 4 commands, the rest of the commands are repetitive. For example, in the print section, first you have preview. When you click on preview, first it shows you the file view. These are the buttons we worked with. After that, if your file is like this and you want to print it out, without setting it up or configuring it, you just go straight to quick print. It doesn't even ask you how many copies you want to print, or how you want to print it, from which page to which page. It just directly prints out one copy. For example, let me select a desktop called, say, 66. Now, without even asking us how or what, as soon as I select 66, it sends that file to print out right there. But if we told it not to do it that way, to ask us first, then first we go into Setup and configure it. For example, set the paper size, whether it should be portrait or landscape, its objects, and whether it should have page numbers. After that, we go to print. We specify it here. We want to print. It has selected the same printer. How many pages, how many copies, then we print it for them. Okay, we canceled it. Send email. We've already worked with this before. We could also do it from up here, from this section. Send this email if we want to email this file to someone. If this doesn't work on your computers, then go to the control panel once. Here, you go to the control panel. Here, we have something called Mail. Mail. Here, we go to configure its settings. Here, email account. Here, we've already configured an email, for example. That is, for now, you just create one profile like this. Here, for example, you write your name and enter your email address in it. You provide your information, like what your email is. If you leave it completely empty, when you click on it, it gives you a warning that it doesn't work. For example. Now here, if we do it, it doesn't give a warning. It directly opens the Outlook page for us, where we can specify who we want to sync with. Again, sometimes this page doesn't open at all. It tells you to first configure this in your mail. Then the last button was the help section. About WordPad. If we want to get information about WordPad again, which version of Windows we have and for which user it was installed. Copyright and other information are provided, and exit is what takes you out of the program. To exit, as we said, you can use this close, or this close, or this close, or with the shortcuts Alt plus F4, Alt plus space plus C, or Alt plus F4, any of which can ultimately close the program. And finally, dear friends, I ask that if you found the videos useful, please like the videos and subscribe to the channel to support us and help the channel grow. Looking forward to seeing you in the next sessions. Goodbye.